Hey everyone, it's Tuesday, October 20th, 2020. Welcome to Weigh-Ins, an MMA spin-off series of the Ginger and the Beard podcast.
In this week's episode, we'll be giving our predictions for UFC 254 and talking about what could potentially be next for Khabib after his bout with Justin Gaethje.
We'll also be discussing the dominant win for Brian Ortega over the Korean Zombie and what this performance means for the featherweight division. Stick around.
All right, let's do this.
What's up, guys? I'm AJ, aka the Ginger.
And I'm Reese, aka the Beard. Before we get into the episode, take a look at the description or YouTube chapters if you want to skip ahead. But for now, how was your weekend, sir?
It was good, man. We actually haven't done this in a little while. I feel like we're a little bit rusty. We didn't do an episode this past weekend. That's because I was traveling. We're going to get into those juicy details about the breweries my wife and I visited in Asheville, North Carolina over the past weekend.
Nice.
In this coming up episode when we talk about beer and all that good stuff. But otherwise, yeah, man, the weekend was good. Saw family. The week's off to a fairly good start. Pretty productive so far. I'm just excited to get into this and talk about some fights. What about you? How was your weekend?
Weekend was good. Wife and I took the week off, which is awesome. We're doing a little staycation action. So we're trying to get around and do some things, but, as always, socially distance as much as possible. We, drove up to the mountains yesterday, which was nice. We saw some overlooks, some beautiful scenery. Today we went and got our eyes checked. That was great. Yay. And tomorrow's actually going to be really cool. Tomorrow's going to be, as long as the weather permits, we're going to go pick pumpkins, and then we're going to carve those pumpkins, and we're going to drink pumpkin beer after we drink our morning pumpkin coffee. And we're going to probably have some pumpkin bread, followed by some pumpkin dessert.
Man, you are going to turn into a pumpkin.
I'm probably going to be orange by the end of the day, for sure.
It sounds like an amazing fall day. I'm going to call you basic, though. You're definitely a basic white dude.
I'm a basic white dude. Basic white dude.
That's awesome, man. I'm not going to lie. I love me some pumpkin stuff once in a while. So, sounds fun.
Me too, man.
But,
so good.
Yeah. Before we move into our Fight Night recap, I do want to remind you all to subscribe to our show in your favorite podcast app. Drop us a review on Apple Podcasts, and most importantly, share this episode with a friend. Word of mouth is the best way to help us grow our show, and we appreciate your support. All right, Reese, let's get into this, man.
Oh, man. All right, dude, let's start with what the people want to hear about, right? What do they want to hear about? We all know. UFC 254, the big time. Dude, this main event, Khabib versus Gaethje, I think this is set up to be the biggest event in UFC history.
Oh wow, that's a big claim, but I would agree with you, man. Khabib's got so much steam behind him that people are trying to figure out who can take down the machine, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I was trying to decide earlier today. I was like, am I more excited for this fight, or was I more excited for the Adesanya versus Paulo Costa fight? And I think personally I was more excited for the Stylebender fight just because I like Stylebender a lot. But I am excited for Gaethje primarily. I think he's a very worthy opponent for Khabib, and we're going to get into that in a second. But I guess off the bat, I feel like we should just go ahead and skip to our predictions because I feel like that's what people are coming here to hear.
Mm-hmm.
If without discussing, I want to hear what the Beard's prediction is. Who do you think's going to win this fight?
Dude, my money's on Khabib, man. I'm sorry. No, wait. It's on Gaethje. It's on Gaethje. Let me take that back. I don't know why I said Khabib. Maybe that's a sign. Because in my head I was envisioning Justin, right? Gaethje.
Yeah.
But Khabib came out. Oh no.
Ooh,
that's not good. That's not good, dude.
It's a sign from the heavens.
Anyway, using my logical brain, Justin Gaethje. I'm going with Justin Gaethje because I want to see that glory brought back to the United States. I feel like I don't want to get into it yet. Who do you think's going to win?
Yeah. I think, my gut tells me that Khabib's going to win. My heart wants Justin Gaethje to win. I think that's kind of where I stand.
You put it well.
I feel like that's where a lot of people stand right now. It's like everyone wants to see, like, there's always like this underdog story, right? Like whenever you're watching a movie, you just kind of want the little guy to rise to the occasion and bring home the glory. And that's how I feel right now. Like Gaethje has worked his way up to this moment. This is the biggest fight of his career, without a doubt, without a question. Khabib's on his way out. He's destroyed everyone that's been in his path. He's destroyed the Star Child, Conor McGregor.
The Star Child.
He wrestles bears. Literally, I saw a video of him wrestling a bear earlier.
Yeah.
So I don't know. My heart really wants Gaethje to win. I think he can do it. I really do think he stands a chance, but my gut tells me Khabib will reign victorious. But I guess we'll see how it goes. But you guys out there, let us know. We did actually put a poll up on our Instagram today, but by the time you're listening to this, it might not be up any longer. But shoot us a message on Instagram or Twitter and let us know who you guys think is going to win. And we'd love to share some of those predictions on our social media channels. But I guess let's dig into it, man. Like, what's the justification here?
Well, first, before we go on, when I first saw that post, I saw it was like 64 Khabib and whatever the rest of that was 36, I guess?
Yeah.
36 to Justin. And then I voted. And then it changed a little bit, and then I came back later, and it was 50-50. And I was like, oh.
Yeah, I think it got to like, at most, I think it was 80% Khabib, 20% Gaethje. But right now, I think it sits pretty close to 50-50. I think Khabib still has the favor by a vote or two.
Wow.
Yeah, but it's pretty close. So the people are mixed. I feel like they're in the same boat as us.
Yeah, I agree. And how you put it is pretty much how I feel is, my heart's with Justin Gaethje, but I feel like Khabib's a monster, and I'm not sure. So let's get into this, though, man. I put some stats here. I put some background facts here. I guess first off, I just want to start off with the tail of the tape, guys. These guys are virtually the same. Khabib, 32. Justin, 31. Khabib, 5'8". Justin, 5'9". They both weigh 155 pounds. They both have the same reach, 70 inches. This is pretty crazy, man. These are almost the same individuals. Then you look at their records. You got Khabib, 28-0, undefeated. And then you got Justin, 22-2. His two losses were against Eddie Alvarez, who was the prior title holder before Conor McGregor took it. And then Justin Poirier, who Khabib actually beat in his last match. Those two fights, back-to-back, Justin lost. But, I do want to point out that he grew so much after that, and he's been on a tear. I think he's on a 4-fight win streak since those two losses, 3 by knockout and 1 by TKO against the former contender. We all know him, but I can't think of his name. Tony Ferguson. Why is my brain? I need to drink a couple more beer sips here. Then I'll remember everything. So yeah, that's what's kind of going on. Let's jump into Khabib first, though. I kind of want to look at the history of this real quick. Do you mind if we look at the history of Khabib?
Man.
So Khabib, he's a 2-time combat sambo world champion. He's trained in sambo, judo, and wrestling. That's pretty crazy. I mean, beyond, the fact that he's the champion now, like, he has been decorated his entire career, essentially. And, he is just a madman. One interesting fact I did see about him, he's the most followed Russian celebrity on Instagram, having more than 21 million followers.
That's pretty bananas.
And the reason why I'm stating that is, I'm just wondering, man, is it going to his head? Do you think? Do you think it's getting to his head at all? Complacency at the top?
I would say yes, but just knowing the not knowing, but observing the mentality of these Russian guys. Why can't I think of the place he's from where all the other guys are from? Dagestan.
Dagestan, yeah.
All these Dagestanis, man, like their mentality is just like seek and destroy. So my only question is, and I think you're going to touch on this in a second, is with the passing of his father, who you've put down here, trained him from and has been his primary coach from a super young age. Recently passed away from complications of COVID. Like with that passing, how does that impact his mental, acuity and his game plan?
Right.
I feel like emotions play into this sport quite heavily. If your mind's not in it, if your heart is elsewhere, if you're distracted in the least, the guy in front of you is gonna sense that and come out on top most likely. So,
right. That's what I'm worried about.
I don't really see complacency, and just to add to that, I think I actually saw an article today that he has already come out and said he wants to fight GSP after his matchup with Justin, and I guess it's assuming he's gonna win, but he wants to fight GSP. So I don't know, man.
That's another thing.
Dude, those
are 3 things right there that are red flags for me. First off, he's got all this celebrity behind him. His father just died, so that could affect his psyche. And he's already looking past Gaethje. These are 3 red flags where you see people do this in the past and they get complacent, or they think they're unstoppable and they're king of the world, and then somebody comes along, man. I mean, the stars are kind of aligning here where he needs to hopefully when he comes into this fight, everything's fucking with him and he loses, but no, I mean, hopefully he's not letting the stardom get to him, but true. So let's turn the table a little bit. Let's look at Gaethje, right? So that didn't really break down their fighting style or anything. I'm just kind of looking at it from like a different perspective, because everybody's kind of breaking down their fighting style. Let's look at it a little bit different. So we got Gaethje here. So a lot of people don't realize this, but he began wrestling when he was 4 years old. He was a 2-time Arizona State champion as a wrestler and an NCAA Division I All-American. So he's no slouch. To be an All-American in the United States is that's a pretty big deal. I would say, it's we still don't really compare with Dagestan's wrestling, but he's no slouch, and I don't think Khabib's, at least not in the top 10. He hasn't gone against any of the better wrestlers in the top 10. So,
right.
And then Gaethje also, he's finished 19 out of his 22 wins by knockout or TKO.
That's insane, dude.
Right? Oh my God. And here's one fact that I found very interesting. He's received 5 Fight of the Night and 4 Performance of the Night awards in his last 7 fights. That's 9 awards in his last 7 fights. That's pretty freaking, I mean,
that's pretty insane.
It's pretty insane, So, and then just to give you a bit of like his mindset, I think if you've watched any interviews with him, you kind of know that like he's, I don't know, man. He's just got like a very good mindset, like an unbreakable mindset. He's a descendant of copper miners. Like his grandfather, great-grandfather, great-grandfather, and father were all copper miners, working hours and hours and hours in copper mines. And he actually worked one summer himself in a copper mine, 96-hour weeks. And basically he took like 1 leave of absence, and some of the other workers there said that he'd be back in a few days and he was never going to get out of this, and he'd be stuck mining his whole life. And I think that's what gave him the motivation for him to get out of that lifestyle and make something of himself. So he became a fighter, and he's got a damn good job at it too, man.
Yeah, I agree with what you're saying about if you've watched an interview with him. I listened to a podcast. He was on Joe Rogan's show, I don't know, like 3 or 4 months ago, and with his coach Trevor Whitman.
Yeah.
And if you listen to that interview, you get the same exact vibe you just mentioned. Like he's a true fighter. It's just in his blood. And I think if anyone in the division has the heart to be the champion, it's him. 100%. I think he even talked about those couple losses that he has on his record and how he made a change mentally after that to be where he is today.
Yeah.
And I mean, just look at that fight with Tony Ferguson, man. I mean, everybody had the cards in favor of Tony Ferguson and thought that was going to be a dominant performance, but it ended up being Justin Gaethje mopping the floor with Tony Ferguson for 5 rounds, man. Just complete domination.
Yep.
Perfection, like perfect striking, perfect timing. Like his pace was, top of the line pace. Like, I mean, he just looked outstanding that entire fight. So I think we've mentioned it on the show before, but you talk about his wrestling. He's never attempted a single takedown in the UFC.
Right.
He's never shown his wrestling at all. So if Khabib's game plan is to come in and wrestle him, I mean, hopefully he still trains wrestling. I hope he still practices wrestling.
Yeah.
After his All-American, background, but
he actually brought in his college coach during this camp
for this fight.
Yeah,
I'm sure that's a great idea.
Yep.
So yeah, I mean, it would be interesting to see how that would go if it does go to the ground. But I mean, Khabib obviously has a good stand up as well. I think Justin outclasses Khabib when it comes to the stand up.
Yeah.
But Khabib's power and strength, in wrestling is going to be a really tough test, I think, for Gaethje.
But I think it's going to be pretty clear if Gaethje can stuff Khabib early and prevent the takedowns early, I think he's going to do enough damage in the stand-up to make a big difference throughout the remaining fight. So I think it's all about that. If basically in the first round, if Khabib gets him down, I mean, I think it's probably going to be the book's going to be written at that point. But if he doesn't get Justin down in the first round, I think we're in for a really crazy fight.
Yeah, I agree. I can't wait to see it. The one thing I was thinking of, and like I don't know how much this matters, but Khabib hasn't fought since September of last year.
Right.
Gaethje just came off of, well, not just, but is coming off a fight with Tony Ferguson, 5 rounds in May. So it's only been, how many months does that work out to? Like 6 months?
Yeah.
6 months in the spotlight. Was there a crowd for that one? I can't remember. Yeah, that was after the shutdown. So no crowd for that one. Khabib hasn't fought in that atmosphere yet. He hasn't fought with no crowd yet. He hasn't had 5 rounds in over a year. So I wonder how much that will play into it as well. Like, Justin kind of knows what to expect. And I was watching some of the fights from this past weekend, which we're going to get into. And they were talking about how some fighters prefer to fight without the crowd and can maintain that mentality and energy. But other fighters rely on the crowd and the energy they get from them to kind of power their gas tank. So I just wonder how this will be the first time we've seen Khabib fight without a crowd. So I wonder how that will impact his performance.
One of Khabib's things is he not only does he take people down, but he drags them over to his side of the ring where his corner is so that they can't hear their corner. So I'm just so interested to see like how this is going to go, man. Because it doesn't matter now. Like, everybody can hear their corner,
You can hear the corner. You can hear the commentators. You can hear everything.
Yeah.
It's going to be interesting, man. I'm excited. I can't wait. Honestly, I kind of forgot this fight was happening this weekend. I went to look, preparing for this show. I went to look to see what events were coming up. I was like, oh my gosh, this is like the biggest fight of the year so far.
It's my birthday
crazy,
too.
Man. It's your birthday?
Yeah.
Saturday's your birthday?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Dude. Man, we need to do something. I don't know what we should do, but from afar.
I know. I don't know. I mean, the game plan wasn't to do anything that day, but we'll see. That was just going to be a pure UFC day.
Yeah, dude.
Oh, actually, we're doing I'm sorry, we're changing subjects, but we're doing the ohm float thing, the sensory deprivation tanks.
Really?
Yeah, we're going to do that again. The first time was awesome.
You've done it before?
Yeah. So we're going to go sit in a sensory deprivation tank for an hour and a half.
I think I might lose my mind if I did that. But anyways, we'll save that conversation for another day. So
it's awesome. Anyway, but I do want to talk about the alternate here, right? So Michael Chandler, former Bellator light heavyweight world champion, is weighing in. He's in Abu Dhabi. He's ready to fight. And if if either of these guys, if something happens, he's stepping in. Either he's going to be against Justin or he's going to be against Khabib. And it's going to be insane. I really hope that doesn't happen. I really don't. He was a dominant fighter in Bellator, but I think everybody kind of knows that it's a different class of fighters over there. I think UFC typically has better fighters, but he was a Division I All-American wrestler. I think that in comparison, I'm not sure how his like striking game holds up to these guys. I'm not exactly sure how his wrestling holds up to these guys, but he is definitely a competitor. It'd be very, very interesting to see if one of these guys can't make it and he comes in and wins against either of these guys. I would be so surprised, but who knows?
I think we need to move on to the next fight, but I just want to say I think this is total bullshit, to be honest with you.
Him just getting the free pass like that?
Yeah, man. Like, I don't know. Maybe any other division I wouldn't be as annoyed about it, but like this division specifically, when Khabib has held the title for as long as he has, like Justin Gaethje trips and like twists his ankle or something. Heaven forbid that doesn't happen. And he can't fight, and you're just gonna stick this dude from Bellator, his first fight in the UFC, with a title shot with Khabib. Like, that doesn't make any sense. Like, you've got guys in the lightweight division who have been doing this for years and years and years and have earned their place in the division. Unfortunately, it times out right now to where all of them have had pretty recent fights. Like Tony Ferguson obviously would be, I feel like, the second choice for this fight. I don't know if he's done healing from that punishment he received from Justin Gaethje, but
probably not.
I don't know. It just seems like total bullshit to me, But anyways, I think that's crazy, man. That's crazy.
Yeah.
I'm with you. I hope nothing happens. I hope Michael Chandler gets on the flight home and never fights anybody. But I would. Yep. I mean, I'm excited that he's with the UFC. I'm excited to see him fight and perform over here. I just feel like that's just stupid to give him his first fight be a shot against either of these guys.
Yeah, give him somebody in like the top 10, right? Don't give him these guys yet. Test them real quick.
Gotta prove yourself, man. I don't know. Anyways.
Yeah. I agree. So we spent a lot of time on that main event. We're going to have to cruise through some of these.
Yeah. I think, really, I feel like the only one... There's two that I kind of want to touch on really quick. The co-main event, Jared Cannonier versus Robert Whittaker.
Yeah.
The reason this fight seems to be so important is because Adesanya said in his last fight at UFC 253 that if Jared Cannonier wins this fight, he wants Jared to get the next shot at the title. Not trying not to spend too much time on this. Obviously, Robert Whittaker has been beaten by Izzy before. Jared Cannonier hasn't gotten to fight him yet. Jared Cannonier is an absolute monster. And Whittaker obviously held the title before, so we know that he's worthy of the belt. But I think this is an interesting matchup just because Jared, has the striking. He's got power. He doesn't throw a flurry of punches, but he waits and baits you for the counter strikes and just has a ridiculous amount of power. I watched a replay of a fight today with between he and Jack Hermanson, and the way he put Jack Hermanson away with a brutal uppercut, counter strike and then vicious ground and pound was quite impressive. And just to watch his evolution from heavyweight down to light heavyweight and now fighting at middleweight and just becoming this like chiseled, crazy physique, is pretty impressive. But then Robert Whittaker, just coming off of a win over Darren Till in a 5-round decision, he obviously has something to prove as well. Any thoughts from you on how this might play out?
I don't know, man. Jared's been on a tear. He's been doing a really good job, but you can never count Robert Whittaker out. I just feel like the power, right? The power that Cannonier has is pretty intense. But we've seen Robert Whittaker survive Yoel Romero, and but Izzy put him down. So it's like, I don't know. I'm kind of pulling for Jared Cannonier here. I think Robert's he's still so young. So I mean, he can definitely change everything around, come back and take the title again. So I mean, maybe that's what's going to happen. He's just got to work on a couple of things. But I would love to see Jared versus Izzy. I think that'd be great. One thing I just noticed though is Jared Cannonier, this says he's only 5'9", and Robert Whittaker's 6 foot. I feel like Jared Cannonier is like so much bigger than that. Like when I see him, he just seems so much bigger, but maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah. Yeah, it is interesting. You know what I think is interesting is that I am the same specs as these people.
Oh no shit.
I am 6'1" and I weigh probably 185. Wow. I don't look anything like these dudes.
Yeah.
Something doesn't make sense here.
Jeez. These guys are yeah, how can they have so much muscle and like not weigh anything? It's weird.
Well, I think probably because they fight at 185, but they probably walk around at like 210 or something.
Dude, you need to put on like 20 pounds of muscle.
Yeah, exactly. Now I need to train MMA and fight in the UFC.
And have no body fat at all.
I need to stop eating ice cream at 11 o'clock at night. That's my weakness.
So do you think Jared's going to take this one, or you got Robert?
I honestly do think Jared's going to take this one. I think he's got good enough takedown defense, and he's got the power. I think his power kind of outclasses Robert Whittaker. But Robert's got pretty good speed and explosiveness, so I think it'll be interesting. I think it'll be a really good fight. But yeah, I mean, like we mentioned, Jared has been on a tear with some knockout TKO, victories. He knocked out Anderson Silva in the first round, knocked out Jack Hermanson second round, very recently. So I'm interested in seeing how this goes, and I do agree with you that it would be a great matchup between Jared and Izzy. So,
yep.
Moving on from that, there's a fight it's on the main card. It's the very last fight, or the first fight, I guess, on the main card. Ion Cutelaba versus Magomed Ankalaev. Ankalaev. I don't know. I can't pronounce it. Okay. The reason this one's interesting to me is because they just fought. When was that? I feel like that was just a couple months ago. Let me see here. Ion Cutelaba. No, that was way back in February. Wow, I can't believe it's been that long already.
The time flies.
Yeah, it really does, man. That was on UFC Fight Night 169. That was actually the one that was in Norfolk. Benavidez versus Figueiredo. Anyways, these two guys, there was a lot of animosity between them, and they finally matched up. They finally came toe-to-toe in the octagon. The fight was stopped short in the first round, if you guys don't remember, when Ion started to do this sort of like, he got hit. I think he got clipped by Magomed, and then he started to like fake wobble. He started like do this like weird wobbly thing, like he was trying to pretend that he was like dazed by that punch just so Magomed would move in, and then Ion was gonna play the counter game. It was pretty clear watching the replay that it was fake, but the referee at the time, to him, I guess he couldn't make that distinction at the time. He thought Ion really was like wobbled and not coherent at the time, so they stopped the fight while both men were still standing. Ion immediately contested it and was like, "What the hell, man? I'm like, there's nothing wrong with me. I was just pretending." Probably not the smartest decision on Ion's part to pretend.
No.
That's a kind of a big risk you were taking. I can see what the game plan is, or that maybe that was just a form of taunting. But either way, they stopped the fight. Ion was definitely pissed about it, and even mentioned filing for a no contest to have that loss overturned.
Oh yeah.
So
looks like he did.
Well, he has a no contest, but I did research that, and it actually came earlier in his career. That's not the no contest that we're talking about here. But they get to go back at it this weekend. These are two giant dudes, both of them pretty skilled, it seems like. So I'm interested in seeing how that plays out.
That should be good. Yeah, interesting. Man, we're gonna have a good fight card, man. I'm very excited about it.
Really do. We might have to do a video discussion as it's going on, like we've done in the past, or get on and chat about it.
Yeah.
Get our buddy Toby involved if he's not working or something. But
yeah.
So I think that about wraps up our short preview of UFC 254. Obviously, we only talked about 3 fights, but we wanted to kind of dive in a little bit deeper on those. So you guys out there listening to this, make sure you let us know on Twitter or Instagram. What you guys think about these fights? Who do you have picked? Which ones are you most excited about? And we look forward to hearing what you guys think. But I think now we're kind of working backwards this week, but go into a recap of what happened last week. I feel like UFC 254 is what the people want to hear about, but I still want to talk about what happened this past weekend.
Oh yeah, definitely, man. I think, so I didn't stay up and watch the fights, but I caught the highlights of them the next day. I even watched the Ortega versus Zombie fight. There was like a video of it, full fight video of it. So I checked that out, pretty good stuff, man. I was pretty excited to see Ortega back in the ring.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the Jessica Andrade and Katlyn Chookagian fight first. I mean, that was pretty fast.
It was a fast fight. Yeah. I watched back. Like you, I did not stay up and watch those fights this past weekend because I was visiting with family, but I did watch the replays, and the Jessica Andrade fight stood out to me just because obviously she's coming off a loss to Rose. Kind of, she held the belt for a very short time, lost it to Zhang Weili, and then, she got the rematch with Rose, and Rose, I think that was a decision win. I think it was a 5-round decision maybe, or was it 3 rounds? I can't remember.
Against Rose, it was a 3-round decision.
3-round decision, yeah. So Rose kind of got her revenge there.
Yep.
So now Jessica Andrade, I believe Katlyn Chookagian was the number 1 contender for this division, I do believe. And so really quick fight, like you mentioned. I think it ended, I believe, only a minute or so within the finishing moments of the first round.
Yeah.
But this was a tough fight for Jessica. If you look at the, I don't have the exact measurements in front of me, but Katlyn definitely, much
reach
taller.
Advantage. Yeah.
Yeah, much taller, much longer reach. So hard for Andrade, but watching this fight back, I feel like Andrade did a really good job of closing the distance, using some vicious leg kicks to kind of close that distance, get in for the clinch. She had amazing head movement throughout the entire round. And at one point, she even slammed a leg kick into Katlyn and dropped her to the ground.
Oof, right.
And then proceeded with some ground and pound. But crazy enough, Katlyn actually went out on body shots. I'm not sure if you saw the clips for that.
Yeah. Oh my God. Andrade put this hook into her stomach, and you could just see the pain on Katlyn's face. It was just like excruciating pain. And then she backed off, and then Jessica kept going after her. And Jessica, you see the second one lands and just drops Katlyn. And, not long after that, the ref was like, okay, I've seen enough.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy, man. I don't know that I've only seen a couple fights stopped with body shots. One of the most memorable ones was Edson Barboza versus Dan Hooker. I think it was Edson Barboza. Pretty sure it was.
Okay.
But they stopped that one off of body shots. But usually it takes some pretty serious punishment to the body to get somebody to call it quits. But that one right hook to the body, or it might have been a left hook, I can't remember. The first one where Katlyn actually turned around, turned her back towards Andrade and ran away essentially.
Yeah.
It hit her right above the groin area. I'm not sure anatomically what is there. You think typically it's the liver shot that gets people to curl up. Your body.
I thought it was a liver. I thought it was a liver shot.
I might have to watch it back, but it looked like it was square in the middle of the stomach, right above the groin area. But either way, the commentators were saying, I think, what's the guy's name? Dan.
John?
Dan something.
I don't know.
The guy that's a UFC fighter.
Dan Hardy?
Dan Hardy. He was one of the commentators, and he was I think it also was Paul Felder as well, but he's yeah, man, we've been there before. He was when you get hit like that, it's instant, nauseating. You can't think straight. You can't see straight. It's extremely painful. And then when she landed that second one, Katlyn, like you said, just folded up.
Yeah.
It looked pretty brutal. I tried doing some research to see if there was anything out there saying because I was wondering, I wonder if internal damage wise, I wonder if you can tear your intestines taking a shot like that. I didn't find anything, so I'm assuming she's fine. She was able to get up right after they called a stop to the fight.
Yeah,
but
I think she was fine. because I mean, she looked like, she was standing there. Like, I'm wondering if she even had to go to the hospital afterwards. I know if you have like liver swelling or kidney swelling or something like that, if you get hit hard enough, you can burst one of those organs, and then you're in like really bad shape. And then, another fight that got stopped was Jose Aldo versus Jeremy Stevens. I don't know if you remember that one, where Jose hit him in the subplex. I can't remember what it's called.
I do kind of
solarplex. That's what it is. He hit him in the solarplex, and like another just excruciating look on his face, and then he just fell over, and that was it. And
where is the solarplex? That's like right under your rib cage.
Yeah, right in the middle of your, torso, basically, right in the middle of your torso. But yeah, so I don't know if she got hit in the liver or where she got hit, but those are the two spots basically. If you get hit hard enough in those spots, I mean, it's very painful, but kind of just goes to show, like, champion material versus non-champion material. If a champion gets hit hard enough, are they gonna fold like that, or are they just gonna fight through the pain?
Yeah, I mean, she was the number one contender, so you'd think that she would be up there with those, but I see what you're saying. I guess at some point your body's just automatic responses to just collapse, Yeah.
But, yeah, but it's like, it's not an injury, right? It just hurts.
It just sucks.
And this is coming from a guy that just sits here and drinks beer and talks about it. I mean, suck it up. Come on, dude.
I've never been hit in the liver before, but it can't be that bad.
Can't be that bad. Coming from a guy sitting in a chair.
Yeah. I don't know.
No,
yeah,
I'm
see
sure
what
it
you're
hurt.
saying. I think a lot of people are speculating that, or a lot of people are saying that Jessica should get a shot at the title again. So Wei Li still holds the title, right? Because she beat Jacek, right?
Yeah. Rose is next in line for the title.
Yeah, I think, or maybe what I was reading was that she should get an instant rematch with Rose. I can't remember.
No, I don't.
But
so.
I think Rose and Wei Li should fight next.
Yeah,
and then maybe Jessica should get.
Jessica should fight. She should fight Joanna, if anything.
Oh man, that'd be a good fight. That'd be a really good fight. And the thing with Jessica, man, like watching that fight, she is so strong. She's like a little pit bull, man.
Yeah,
like,
dude.
She's
crazy.
short for the class, and she's actually light for the class, the Division 2. Yeah. But she picks people up. I mean, she obviously picked Rose up and slammed her on her head and knocked her out.
Mm-hmm.
But she slammed Katlyn a couple times in this fight. As tall as she is compared to Andrade, she was able to pick her up and slam her down. And like whenever, I think that to a fault sometimes as well, because that almost backfired on her when she fought Rose. She tried picking up. I think Rose was trying to lock in what was it? Trying to lock in a triangle or something.
It was a defensive Kimura, I believe.
Kimura. It might have been a Kimura or a triangle or something, and Jessica tried to pick her up and slam her to get out of it. Exactly.
Well, the first time she picked her up, she had her in that Kimura, and it actually prevented Jessica from being able to get her up. But this time, the second time, her holding the Kimura was basically what knocked her out.
Yeah.
Should have
exactly.
let go of it.
Yeah, you're saying on Rose's end. Yeah.
Yeah, Rose should have let go of it.
Right. So really good fight. I'm excited to see what's next for Andrade. Obviously, that's an amazing division with the women's UFC. Can't wait to see what's coming from that. But the main event, Brian Ortega versus Korean Zombie. I agree with you, man. I was excited to see him back in the lights with a shaved head.
For sure.
That was an interesting look.
Yeah, dude. He shaved his locks off, man. That was crazy.
I think what they said during the fight was like he wanted to come out with like a new look, like he wanted to, and he did look different. Like if you've watched any of his recent fights and then you watch this fight, his stance is different, his style is a little bit different. Obviously, his head is a little bit different.
Well, he's got a new camp. He went to a different camp. He's got new coaches. There was a lot of drama that happened, and he went to a different training camp. And then if you watch the post-fight press conference, he explains like what happened is he was like sitting there thinking about like how he's every day he has to go train and he's got to put his hair up and he's got to wash his hair and he's got to do all this shit to keep the hair looking good, and he's like, what the fuck? Why am I doing this? And he was like, same with the girls. He's like, he knows what these girls have to go through. They got to do this hair, all this stuff with their hair. He's like, he was done with it. He was like, I'm sick of this. And he said one day he just was like fighting with his roommate or whatever, like, give me the clippers, give me the clippers, give me the freaking, and finally he shaved it all off, and then they decided to donate it to charity.
Oh, that's cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's super cool, man. Yeah, it's weird to see him without the braids, the cornrows or whatever, but either way, that's not the important thing, but that's interesting to know. I mean, it's cool that he definitely donated that, but what did you think about this fight? I mean, what do you think about Brian's return to the octagon?
I think that him moving camps, I guess he was training in Muay Thai a little bit as well, and he's been learning a lot beyond just the jiu-jitsu, because he's essentially just a very good jiu-jitsu guy. With he had good striking, but it wasn't like top level striking, and now he's working more on that. So I think that's very good to see. And I think he put on a very good show tonight, or not tonight, the other night, Saturday, just kind of showing what all he's learned. His 2 years off, where we haven't seen him in such a long time since his loss to Max Holloway. We kind of see now, like, he wasn't just sitting around doing nothing. I think he's been training and learning and, honing his skills. And I think this is the best Brian Ortega we've seen.
I agree, man. It was a very impressive showing for sure. I'm looking at the rankings right now. I guess they did update because Chan Sung Jung is he moved down a rank. Brian Ortega is currently sitting at the number two spot in the featherweight division behind Max Holloway and obviously Alexander. But, I mean, let's just keeping with the fight itself. 5 rounds, it went to decision. I don't know how it went to decision because the Korean Zombie took some serious punishment.
That's why he's the zombie.
Fight. Yeah, I mean,
can't kill him.
I mean, after that, I would 100% agree with that. I mean, just kind of running through some of the highlights that I kind of noticed. Both of the fighters very patient to start. They're very looking for their shots, looking for the timing, trying to find their rhythm. But in the first round, Brian Ortega, it really all started in the first round. He dropped Korean Zombie with a nice clean left hook. He took him down to the ground, but he bounced right back and was still throwing some serious bombs. In the second round is when things started to get more challenging for Chan Sung Jung because Brian starts to feint with the takedowns. I think Korean Zombie was probably preparing for the ground game. He's got, Chan Sung Jung has amazing striking and power and counter abilities. So he was probably training for the ground game because of Brian's jiu-jitsu background. And so Ortega starts to feint for the takedowns in the second round and makes the Korean Zombie, and now after having been hit on the striking, he has to think about the takedowns plus the striking. So now he's not sure what to do. And that's where things got kind of interesting.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I think it was smart on Ortega's part to keep feigning for the takedowns, or actually going for the takedowns, so that Zombie's not sure what's coming after him. And Ortega was mixing it up. I mean, he wasn't just sticking to the 1-2, I mean, he was doing a lot of different stuff. Yeah. And, from his perspective, I guess, he's got a lot more that he wanted to try. He just wasn't able to. Just like the spinning back elbow, that he threw out there to knock Zombie down was, dude, that was so clean, man. It was so clean. Zombie being all, the level of endurance that he has, I guess, is, just kind of unstoppable. That wasn't even able to put him away, although it might have it probably would have put a lot of other people away. So. Oh,
100%. I think any other fighter, there may be a few people out there that could survive that, but most people would have been out like a light.
Yeah.
That happened. I wrote down, not nasty, but disgusting.
Just
spinning back elbow. Like, it doesn't get, that's like textbook spinning back elbow. I don't know how he survived that, but he got back up eventually. I think he even absorbed another uppercut standing up from that shot. He was getting back up, and I think Brian hit him with a nasty uppercut, and he still survived and was still throwing. I was still surprised by the remainder of the fight, I actually saw something where Zombie said he doesn't even remember the last 3 rounds of the fight. I think after he absorbed that shot, he probably just went, things went fuzzy on him. But still, somehow, throughout the entire fight, he was pretty accurate. Like, if you watch it back, he throws some seriously powerful shots and lands a lot of what he throws. And has, he maintains his power throughout the fight. Whether or not, he still took a lot of damage, obviously. So Ortega continues to feint the takedowns, strikes aggressively. I don't know that he ever successfully landed more than a few takedowns, but there was a cut at one point. There was a head clash that caused some bleeding on the left eye of Chan Sung Jung, and it was kind of irritating him, so they stopped the fight briefly. But yeah, that's kind of the how it went. That was kind of the story of the fight. It was just Ortega imposing his will. Like you said, mixing it up, throwing a lot of leg kicks, throwing some body kicks, a nice front kick to the jaw at one point. It was brutal, man. It was definitely brutal.
It was awesome.
But I'm excited to see Brian Ortega back. So what do you think's next for him after that win?
Volkanovski, man, all the way. That's the next fight. They're going to put it together. It's going to be in probably like 3 to 6 months from now. It's going to be Ortega versus Volkanovski. I'm sure of it.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think I saw that they were both, I don't know how, but the Korean Zombie was actually cleared and not placed on medical suspension.
Jeez.
But
this guy's insane.
Yeah, I think Ortega was also cleared. When was Alexander's last fight? It was with Max Holloway, right?
Yeah, it was like 3 months ago, I think, something like that.
Was it that recently?
Yeah, I think so. It was last time they were in Abu Dhabi.
It was in July, yeah, so you're right. So, yeah, give Ortega some time to prepare. I, to be honest, think that's going to be a tough fight for Volkanovski.
Yeah, I'm interested, man, to see if anybody can beat Volkanovski. I really am, but just based on what Max did to, Ortega, and I know Max has good ground game also. So, but I don't think he has the ground game that Ortega has. But I don't think Ortega's strong enough to deal with Volkanovski. Volkanovski's he's so strong.
He's a strong little fella.
Yeah, I'd be interested to see if Ortega can get him down. Or what he'd be able to do there. I don't think he can.
Maybe he won't take him down. That fight with Korean Zombie barely went to the ground. There was never any sort of submission attempts. There was very little ground game at all. They went down a couple times, but not for long. So maybe that won't even be part of his game plan.
You could be right. Maybe it's just going to be Ortega outclassing on the feet, but
yeah, I think he definitely will have a reach advantage over Volkanovski, which Holloway did as well. But I think Ortega, based on what we saw this weekend, his footwork, his kicks, I feel like are a lot stronger than Max Holloway's. And he used that very well to kind of maintain. If he uses those kicks to maintain the distance between he and Volkanovski, and then has some of that same striking that we saw this past weekend, I don't know, man. I think I could see it going in Ortega's favor, but Volkanovski is another one of those like little pit bulls. Like it's tough to stop him.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't think Ortega's going to beat Volkanovski, but I guess we'll see. We'll see. My money's on Volkanovski for now. Maybe that'll change.
This might be the one fight where we have differing opinions. That'd be fun.
Oh, man. Yeah.
Well, hopefully they make that fight soon and we get an actual date and can start to look forward to that. But congrats to Brian T-City Ortega.
Yeah.
Glad to see him back.
Yeah, me too.
I think that about rounds out our show.
I think you're right. So before we close it out, I want to remind you to subscribe. All you viewers out there, I want to remind you guys to subscribe to our show on your favorite podcast player. Leave us a review on Apple Podcasts if you really want to help us grow. Again, share this video with a friend as always. We appreciate your support and thank you all for being here.
Yes, thank you all, absolutely. And we will see you guys on Friday for our regularly scheduled episode.
Peace.